Today, for National Hoodie Day, we are all Travyon. The whole damn system is guilty. People are out in the streets in Sanford, Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, Buffalo, New York, Cambridge, Massachusetts, Chicago, Cleveland, Ohio, Dallas, Texas, Austin, Texas, Detroit, Michigan, Fresno, California, Los Angeles, New York, Milwaukee, San Francisco and Oakland, Minneapolis, St. Paul and Minnesota, and other cities. People are out wearing their hoodies, saying hoodies up. We are all Trayvon. The whole damn system is guilty. Why? Why? Because of this outrage, of this modern day lynching that went down in Sanford, Florida in February of last year. A modern day lynching. You know, back in the day, it was the Klan, the Ku Klux Klan, that lynched people. Well, today it's the police, along with racist vigilantes like George Zimmerman. And last February, George Zimmerman called 911. He was armed with a 9mm, sitting in his SUV, talking about this young black guy looks suspicious. Why was he suspicious? Because he was young and he was black. And he was told by 911. He was told by 911 not to get out of his vehicle. He got out anyway. He got out anyway and pursued Trayvon. And you know what George Zimmerman told the 911 operator before he got out and murdered Trayvon? He said, quote, "These assholes, they always get away," unquote. That is what George Zimmerman said about Trayvon before he got out of his vehicle after being told by the 911 dispatcher not to get out of his vehicle. He got out. He stopped Trayvon. Trayvon was armed, all right, with a bag of Skittles and a can of Arizona iced tea. A young man just starting out in life, a whole lifetime ahead of him, with dreams and hopes and aspirations, who came head to head, face to face with this racist vigilante who said he was suspicious. That's the kind of country we're living in right now. We're after decades of the TV and the movies and the media criminalizing, demonizing our young people, where these racist vigilantes think that just by saying he looks suspicious, they can get out and blow a young black man or a young Latino man away, which is exactly what happened. And then the police came, and you know what? They did a drug test. They did an alcohol test. But they didn't do it on George Zimmerman, who had just murdered Trayvon Martin. They did the drug test and the alcohol test on Trayvon. It's outrageous. And they took George Zimmerman to jail, but not to arrest him. They took him in the front door, questioned him, and let him out the back door, uncharged. And as people began to hear about this, as people listened to the calls to 911 and heard what Zimmerman had to say about saying, quote, "These assholes, they always get away," talking about young Trayvon Martin, people became angry. And Trayvon's parents, to their credit, had the courage to stand up and demand justice for their son. They wouldn't be quiet. They wouldn't grieve in silence. They said, "No, we want justice for our son." And in response, thousands and tens of thousands of people in cities across the country came out into the streets to demand justice for Trayvon Martin. That's the only goddamn reason George Zimmerman got charged in the first place. 6 weeks after he murdered Trayvon. And ever since then, George Zimmerman, he's not really been the one on trial. No, it's been Trayvon. Trayvon is the one who's been on trial. He's been on trial, yes, on Fox News, but Trayvon's also been on trial on CNN, the New York Times, all these other news media, trying to bring up all kinds of bullshit, like he got suspended from school. I don't give a goddamn if he got suspended suspended from school. That is not a goddamn capital crime. They're claiming he smoked weed. Well, shit. If they killed every young person that smoked weed in this country, wouldn't be too many people left in school. But this is what they're saying. They're saying, oh, he threw gang signs in his pictures. Who the fuck cares what he threw in his pictures? George Zimmerman didn't know anything about Trayvon when he murdered him. All he knew was he was young and he was black. And that was enough for him to blow him away. Well, you know what? They think they can get away with whitewashing this, putting Travyon on trial instead of George Zimmerman. But it's George Zimmerman who got out of his SUV. It's George Zimmerman who stalked a young black man. It's George Zimmerman who pulled out his 9mm and blew him away. And we're not going to let the system get away with whitewashing another murder of a young man of color. Every day somewhere in this country, the police kill somebody. Time and time again. They call it justifiable homicide, which that basically means the victim was young, black, or brown. That's justifiable homicide in this country. And in Florida, they got this stand your ground law. And let's be clear, the stand your ground law ain't nothing but a lynching law. It's a green light to say, oh, I was scared. Why? Because he was young and he's black, and that justifies it. I mean, Zimmerman's brother, George Zimmerman's brother, put out a racist tweet with a picture of Trayvon Martin and a picture of another young black man, had no connection with Travyon, who supposedly murdered or killed a 1-year-old baby. And in this racist Twitter, George Zimmerman brothers made the comment about, does anyone wonder why people are afraid of these people? That's the kind of shit that's being put out to justify this murder. Well, today, National Hoodie Day, people across the country saying hoodies up, wearing their hoodies out in the streets to say loudly and clearly, we are all Travyon. The whole damn system is guilty. We are not going away. Today is just the beginning. And what happens in the weeks to come, the outcome of this trial will either be very good or very bad. It'll be very bad if George Zimmerman walks and there's not a huge outpouring of hundreds of tens of thousands, hundred thousands of people. That would be very bad. But it'll be very good if we create the conditions where the prosecutor cannot afford to forget how to prosecute. Well, they are forced to try and put Zimmerman in jail. It'll be very good if tens of thousands, of hundreds of thousands of people speak out, march, demonstrate, saying we are not going to allow this to happen. We are not going to allow you to get away with this murder. We are not going to live in the kind of society where young black and Latino men can just be lynched by the police or some racist bigot vigilante. No, no, no. And what you do, no, 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 no. And what you do today and the weeks to come has everything to do with how this turns out. And how this battle turns out, whether a very good situation or a very bad situation, is going to have a huge impact on all the struggles for justice. In July, prisoners in California are starting a hunger strike. 80,000 prisoners in this country are kept in solitary confinement, which, under international law, is a form of torture. There's Guantanamo, where 180 people are being held. Years and years and years, half of them have already been cleared to go home. They're on a hunger strike. They're being tortured, being force-fed, tubes stuck down their throats. What happens in Sanford, Florida, will have a big impact on all these struggles for justice. So think about that in the weeks and months to come. This is just the beginning. We're going to be out here, day in and day out, demanding justice for Travyon. We're going to organizing people, bringing many more people into this movement, saying this cannot be allowed to go down. We say it's not.
En español, estamos aquí hoy porque hoy es el día que van el primer día de juicio para George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman fue aquel individuo que mató a Trayvon Martin. No tenía ninguna razón para matarlo, pero cogió y lo mató. Estamos aquí presentes haciéndole saber a todos ustedes, a todos aquellos que deben de estar presentes y mantener a Trayvon Martin en sus corazones y en su mente, de que este individuo que lo cogió y lo mató, George Zimmerman, no se vaya, que le coja el juicio y que salga culpable. Eso lo es que esperamos. También tenemos el problema de los policías que están matando a nuestros hijos, hispanos y negros. Están cogiendo, se van con pretensiones de que los muchachos tienen marihuana o tienen droga encima. Cogen y rompen las puertas de nuestras casas para irse a los baños y matar a estos muchachos inocentes. Esos son los que están haciendo muchos policías, no solamente aquí en Nueva York, pero en Oakland. En Oakland también están matando muchos de los jóvenes latinos y negros. Estamos aquí presentes para decirle a todos ustedes que estamos peleando. También estamos peleando para que esa situación de stop-and-frisk, de parar a los muchachos por ninguna razón y entonces también tocarles su parte que también ellos hacen y diciendo que tienen droga. También estamos peleando por eso. Todas esas cosas estamos peleando aquí hoy día, pero más presente a mantener a Trayvon Martin, que tenemos que estar seguros de que este individuo que lo mató solamente por decir que tenía un hoodie y también por ser negro, pues él lo siguió y se lo dijeron que no lo siguiera porque la policía podía llegar, pero él, como pensaba que tiene razón y que tiene el poder, por él creerse que ser blanco, lo siguió y lo mató. Y ahora dice que fue en defensa. No fue en ninguna defensa porque él lo mató como un animal. Él lo corrió como que si fuera un cazador y cogió y lo siguió y así fue que lo mató. Okay, gracias.
Today the eyes of the world are on Sanford, Florida. What will they see? What will they be thinking? I'm holding over my head a miniature of a giant human billboard, which is in Sanford, which has been featured on the major newspaper there of last night. We want to raise money to expand this human billboard down there, to get this message out there. No more generations of our youth are going to face the fate that Trayvon Martin faced. No more generations of our youth condemned to an early death, or a life of misery and brutality, condemned by this system. This message from Baba Bakian on this needs to be out everywhere. Make a donation to cover the cost of this human billboard and to spread this everywhere. Thank you.
I come to you today, June 10th, 2013. Today is National Hoodie Day.
That's right.
Also known as the day George Zimmerman will stand trial for the cold-blooded murder of Trayvon Martin, teenager murdered in the streets after coming from a convenience store buying Skittles and iced tea. Murdered by a neighborhood watch captain because he looked suspicious. George Zimmerman, as you know, was released from prison the night after he killed Trayvon. And police got his statement and saw him off. And if it were not for the movement of many people across the United States, George Zimmerman would have not gone charged. Luckily, he is in a standing trial today for what has been considered second-degree murder. Should be considered first-degree murder, but I'm just happy he's being charged at all.
That's right.
Sadly, this is not the only case. George Zimmerman is the first of many to be charged for a cold-blooded killing. multiple have happened before him and multiple after him. Many here on the streets of New York that have gone unnoticed or uncharged despite the mass callings of people. Thankfully, you all are here. You're all listening. And that's the first step. First step is to take notice and take responsibility. And luckily, we're doing just that. I'm lucky enough to have become part of the Stop Mass Incarceration Network since I came back to New York from college. I'll be a junior at American University come August 2013. And there, aside from increasing my education, I've also done work with multiple skilled organizers and activists in D.C. I was one of many to join in the Million Hoodie March back in the spring of 2012 to draw attention to the murder of Trayvon Martin. And in the streets with many of my friends and allies, let the world know that we all are Trayvon Martin.
We are Trayvon Martin.
Thank you. Exactly. And it was on that day, marched from Malcolm X Park down to Freedom Plaza. And during that march, a reporter from ABC7, or at least ABC in DC, I don't know what exactly they're called there, asked me, in response to the way of the Trayvon Martin case, if I ever felt safe walking around in a hoodie. I told him this. With the state of the police department in New York and DC and any other major city, with the way the mass incarceration and prison system is handled, I don't feel safe walking down the street at night wearing anything. I can wear a hoodie, I can just wear a tank top, I can be walking around summer weather in shorts and a t-shirt.
You can wear a suit.
I feel unsafe.
You can wear a
the
suit.
gaze of a police officer. I can wear a suit.
That's right.
And I would still feel unsafe.
Yes.
Throughout my time living here in New York, well, I'd love to say, while I've grown up here, I've always felt scared out of my environment when facing a police officer. Now don't get me wrong, I've had experience with some good ones, nice people, but there have been those who have given me the stink eye, just walking through a store, walking down the major street, and I never knew why. As I got older, I understood. It's because I'm either black and Latino. I'm both actually, but they don't know that, I'm either or. And either way, I'm some kind of threat. It's why I take action. On days like today, last year at the Million Hoodie March, and any other day. I am a black youth. I am a Latino youth. I am Trayvon Martin, and I will stand up and fight until this system is accounted for. Until George Zimmerman is found guilty for the cold-blooded murder of Trayvon Martin. Until then, I let them know, let you all know, and I hope you believe it too, that I am Trayvon Martin and the whole system is guilty.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to thank Travis for that introduction, and we need to give ourselves props for being out here today. And we are out here today on a National Hoodie Day, a day that's being taken up across the country. I just got off the phone with people from Los Angeles. I was on the radio there. They're going to be going later on in the day. People in Austin, Texas, they took up the Hoodie Day even though because of the 100-degree heat, they had to take their hoodies off after they took the picture. They say it's too damn hot out here to be wearing hoodies. But look, them putting on their hoodies, as well as the people from Buffalo, New York, Detroit, Michigan, Sanford and Jacksonville, Florida, Cleveland, Chicago, the Twin Cities and Minneapolis, some places that I'm forgetting, let's see, San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley, together with us here. This is very, very important. Because let's be just clear on a couple of things. First off, the only fucking reason that George Zimmerman is on trial is because people stepped out all across the country last year when they heard about the murder of Trayvon Martin and when they heard that the police had released his murderer the night night of the murder. That's the only reason there is a trial. And our best shot, our only shot at really getting justice in this case is for people to continue to take to the streets. So we had to have a nationwide Hoodie Day today. We had to have people taken to the streets. We had to have people acting around this case because the eyes of the world are being focused on Sanford, Florida today. And the question is, what will they see? Will the only thing they see be the Zimmerman defense, aided by the media, trying to drag Trayvon's reputation through the mud, trying to paint him as a criminal, trying to paint him as a thug who got what he deserved that night? We have to say, that's not the only thing that they can see. They have to see that people all across the country are saying, just like we said a year ago and more, we are all Trayvon. The whole damn system is guilty. They have to see that because a lot is riding on this case. People's hopes were raised when they stood up and got Zimmerman put on trial last year. But if we sit back and let the system work, what we'll learn is that it already worked once in this case when it let the murderer go, and it'll work the same damn way again. The way it almost always works when black or brown youth are murdered by racist vigilantes or by cops. What people have to see is they have to see people of all races and nationalities, with black and brown youth in the forefront, but people of other backgrounds, other races and nationalities standing with them, saying no more. No more to open season on black and Latino youth.
Or white.
No more to
Or
putting...
white.
Okay, we're talking reality here. And the reality is that this society...
That's reality.
That's true. I believe you. But this society has put a bullseye on the backs of black and Latino youth. They have criminalized that section of society. And frankly, they criminalized them because they hate and they fear them. They know of the brutal oppression that they bring down on black and Latino communities. They remember the 1960s when black youth stood up against their oppression and brought forward a broader revolutionary movement. They don't want to see that happen again. So they are striking out before youth can rise up this time. And see, this is very important because that brutal oppression that the criminal injustice system is a concentration of is built into the fabric of this rotten capitalist system. And I'm going to tell you, if this was the only thing wrong with this system, if the brutality and oppression it brought down on black people was the only problem, that would be reason enough to want to get rid of this system through revolution. And sisters and brothers, it is far from the only problem. There's the violence and degradation brought down on women. There's the wars for empire, the ravaging of the environment. It will take revolution and nothing less to uproot all of these horrors once and for all. And as part of doing that, what's needed right now is mass determined resistance on all of these fronts, and particularly on the front of mass incarceration, the 2.3 million people in prison, the 80,000 being subjected to torture, and the racial profiling that leads to all of this. And Trayvon Martin, his murder concentrates that racial profiling. That's why it's important that we're standing up here and saying no more to the bullseye that's been put on the backs of black youth in this society. Saying we are all Trayvon. The whole damn system is guilty. That's also important why we have to keep standing up. This can't be that we just stand up today and then go back to our lives and let this trial go on. Because like I said, if we let the system work the way it works, it's going to do what it always does and let the racist killer get off with it. We have to fight through on this. We have to keep going through the case, and at the end of the case, we have to take to the streets too, whichever way it comes out. We have to say that this is unacceptable, that we refuse to accept it, that we are going to build a movement that takes this on and build resistance to stop it. Because mass incarceration million people warehoused in prison, the 80,000 people among them who face torture in those prisons. This is unacceptable. It's a horror, and it's up to us to stop it. So sisters and brothers, again, I want to salute you for being out here today. Recognize that we're standing together with people in dozens of cities across the country, and that we have to keep on standing up and fighting because we need to stop mass incarceration. And I know we're coming from different perspectives. Some of us, like me, understand that it's going to take revolution, nothing less, to stop mass incarceration once and for all. And get with me and talk about that, because we need a movement for revolution. And whether you're with that or not, stand with me to build resistance to the horror of mass incarceration, to build a fight for justice for Trayvon Martin. Thank you, sisters and brothers.